Welcome to Raising Humans Together, where we dive into deep in community leadership, parenting, and legacy. I'm your host, Adrian Hunt. Today, I'm honored to welcome Las Vegas City Councilwoman Frances Allen Polinsky, a longtime public servant, small business owner, and proud mom and grandmother. From her upbringing into family or franchise business owners, to serving 2 terms in the Nevada Assembly, to now representing Ward 4 on the Las Vegas City Council, she's navigated through challenges of leadership with resilience. Also, the first Asian American woman elected in both Nevada legislature and city council. Representation matters, and we all know that. In this episode, we'll talk about how her role as a parent and mentor has formed her work in public service, the sacrifices, the wins, and the lessons she hopes to pass on. Councilwoman, thank you so much for being here.
Adrian, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And in the off script, it's just amazing when you have just warm-hearted people. And every time I'm around this phenomenal woman, I really do feel like that. She's always inviting. And since the day I met her, she's always been inviting. And I can just feel it. And I just want to tell you, thank you for being amazing. And I really, really do mean that.
Adrian, political life and personal life, there's not that much difference between them. If you're a good person, you're going to thrive. And I like uplifting good people. So wherever I go, Adrian, you go.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Friend to the end. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we're going to get into the questions. Again, this is about parenting. There is no disclaimer. There is no manual to parenting. And me and the councilwoman were just talking about this before we started recording. It's no manual. So a lot of times we're figuring it out. And some people can put on that facade like they're the perfect parents. And, and we all know that's not true because we all have ups and downs, and we were just talking about some of our struggles and triumphs as parents before we started recording. So we all know that this happens, but we're going to get into some questions for the councilwoman and really get to know some of her parenting strategies, you know what I mean? With her and her significant other, I'm sure, plays a big role in it as well. But now we have the councilwoman here. And I'm going to start the first question. Is how did becoming a parent shape your journey into public service or vice versa?
Interesting, because it had a big foundational decision. Because as you mentioned, in 2005 and 2007, I served in the lower house of our state legislature, the assembly. And I did that while I was a single female, no kids. And I was able to travel to Carson City.
And I didn't know.
Similar to what you did.
Okay,
and
absolutely.
my grandmother here and family, nothing holding me back. Now, fast forward 15 years between my 2 different terms of service. When I decided to run 3.5 years ago, I had 2 kids in the household. And I can't go to Carson City, not be present in my household for 120 days at a time. So when I thought I'll run again, I never considered the legislature because I got baseball games to be at, football games to be at, dance recitals, and I cannot do everything. I cannot be a present parent and be absentee. So legislature was no longer available to me. I chose local government specifically because I could be at home in the evenings and have dinner together at the dinner table, and I haven't missed a baseball game yet.
And that's so important, the commitment and being there for your kids.
Show up.
Just showing up. And a big thing that I like to discuss and tell parents, your child doesn't have to be the best player. A lot of times we miss the whole point. You're just keeping them busy and active. They don't have to be the best player. You're giving them something to do besides, which we know, being on YouTube, being on their tablet, being on their phones. Definitely, it don't matter if your kid is a star player. Be there, support them, and just keep them engaged and keep them active in something. You know what I mean? And that's the main thing. So I so respect you for that because a lot of parents, they just don't get that. And for those who don't know, our legislator, we have to go up to Carson City every odd year for 4 months. Well, for you guys, it's a little long, about 6 months, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because as a lobbyist, I know we go for 4 months, but you all go for a little longer.
Go earlier and stay a little bit longer. Yeah.
And then, you have the option to come home on the weekends, but
it's very harried. I mean, by the time you fly back, you're home for less than 24 hours and it's a blink and you're back up.
Great. And you're back up.
Yeah.
So it can be challenging. Absolutely. So I so respect you for that. That's so amazing. The next question I want to get into is what has been like raising a family while serving in a public role, and any unexpected lessons or challenges along the way?
Great question. I would say the biggest obstacle is time. You can never get time back. And the time constraints of serving an elected office are dramatic. And not only do I need to serve in City Hall and not miss a meeting and go to council meetings and serve the public, but I also have to run for reelection at the same time, which is this big
Very exciting.
undertaking. Yeah, a big undertaking. And at the same time, be present for my family and my husband and my kids. You have to be really disciplined with your phone use because I can come home and I'd spend the night on the phone until 9 o'clock at night talking to folks. This is what's happening now. You really have to, be on the forefront of the information cycle. So discipline with your phone use. When you get home, put that thing on the charger and don't refer to it. You don't need to see every notification. And if a text message comes, you don't need to respond in 15 minutes. An hour and a half is okay. It's after 5 o'clock. So in the beginning, I really struggled with that. Now I'm becoming a little bit more disciplined because you could eat all your family time away.
And that's such a gem. I mean, that's such a gem. You just don't know because we forget that as parents. We come home. Of course, we want to unwind. We want to catch up on the latest memes, the jokes.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, these kids these days, they have their own language.
Absolutely.
No cap.
Yeah.
Mid.
No
6'7",
cap.
6'7".
My 6-year-old is no capping me. I'm like, stop capping, Dad. I'm like, what? So yes, but we have to realize we have to put the phones down and spend time.
They do, and we do too.
Absolutely.
That's the hard lesson.
And that's kind of like one of the rules that we're trying to have as a family is nobody on the phone, especially during dinner time. So that gives us time to sit down, discuss, talk about our days. But everybody can be so easily distracted from these phones.
It takes discipline.
Absolutely.
And they set it up for us to be addicted to them. And social media today is killing people's childhood. People are being bullied on those things. It's beautiful and awful thing all at once.
Yes.
It was interesting. We had a presentation by Jeremy Aguero, who was kind of the state's economist guy. I said, where confidence is really at a low right now. People aren't spending money. They're not buying houses. What can we do to move the needle in consumer confidence? And he said, everybody needs to kill their cell phone because you go on there and they kind of know what political leanings they are and they divide and conquer.
Yep.
And the whole thing is set up to only really promote hate and distrust. And if we allow ourselves to be teared down by that, we'll have no consumer confidence in this country going forward.
Totally agree. And again, it's some things, of course, we all get a little upset when we see things on social media.
But it's designed to upset you.
And it makes sense. Absolutely. And some of us feed into it every day.
Yes.
Every day.
People say things online. They'd never say if they were face to face.
Absolutely not.
I mean,
and I'm glad you hit on that. You're absolutely correct. We call them keyboard warriors. They get behind that keyboard and they're just the toughest person ever. And it makes absolutely no sense. Now, you mentioned most of it at the next question I wanted to ask. And what is it like balancing the political life, in raising your kids?
You're high demand when you're an elected official. The East Indian Chamber of Commerce, Asian Chamber of Commerce, Korean, Japanese, all of them want you and you're being tugged out a little bit. And you have to juggle all of this. What do you prioritize? How can you remain being a responsive elected official while prioritizing your family life? It's cyclically difficult too, because you get elected and you spend the first 6 months learning your position, and then maybe you get on a good routine, and then at year, like I am right now at 3.5, I have to run again for reelection. Therefore, it's another big tug and draw away. So I'll end up doing the next 6 months a lot of speaking engagements. That's evenings and weekends where I have to go touch voters and be present. So sometimes it's less demanding. Right now, I'm in the cycle of high demand.
Absolutely. And I know, you're always on the move when I see you, whether it's events, again, just, things that you have going on. So like I said, I respect it from one person to another. And it's funny, people, they don't know. They just think, okay, she's a city councilwoman. That's all. She don't know what you got going on. And I get that a lot. Like, I belong to a few organizations. I'm the president of the Black Police Association. You got your family. You got your friends. You want to spend time for your friends. You need time for yourself as well. You got the gym. You know what I mean? You got events you have to attend. And it becomes a lot. And a lot of people don't understand. You got to juggle. Absolutely. Now, with the political cap that you wear, and we know that, and you do that very well most of the day, can you share a couple of goofy and playful things that you do at home to help bridge the gap with your kids? What are some of the things that you do?
Well, we mentioned some of them earlier. I like to give them cringe moments, like, "Mom, don't say that." Anytime I say the 6, 7, "No, don't do it." It's like their ears are melting. And we as a family love to play board games. The game Sorry, which they have this, and they beat up on me specifically, but you have these little guys that go around and you want to try to get them all home, and you can get sorry and sent back to start, and they sing and taunting song, sorry, 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 while they hit my. So my kids are pretty brutal. They are highly competitive, and it's really an equation of time. You spend your time with your kids. They look up to you. They ended up really mirroring us.
Absolutely.
You mentioned
What
before,
they see
you know,
in
you
you.
have one kid that's more you and one kid that's more your ex, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's exactly how it goes.
I feel like my 10-year-old son is very much me on the inside, but he looks so much like his dad. So, I mean, I'm a petite Asian American Korean female. I'm 5'2". My husband is 6'5".
Big
And
dude. Oh,
yeah, and this kid, his
Big guy.
10-year-old is going to be huge too. So
Absolutely.
it's weird, real weird seeing my husband, but hearing
So we're not gonna talk about that.
4 meals a day. The American
Trust me.
average is 3 meals a day.
My 17-year-old, oh man, he's eating us out of the house. I tell you. And it's amazing because we do similar things as well. Board games, we love to play those.
Mhm.
Karaoke.
Oh,
And when we do the family thing, everybody has to get involved. You can't just sit on your hands, but everybody has to get involved. But again, these are crucial moments and times that needs to, the fun you need to have with your kids and your family, and and it gets
fleeting. It goes by fast.
it does. It does. And so, I definitely want to, salute you on that as well because it's very, very important. You'd be surprised how many families don't really extra out time for the fun things, something besides, because I'm always, and my son, I'm sure he feels the same with my others, that I'm always on his head and on those, nagging on him and stuff like that. But you have to break the monotony and let them know, like, look, I'm your father, but I also want you to know that, we're going to have a good time. And it's going to be moments where, we got to enjoy ourselves.
You're not friends now. You will be one day.
Absolutely.
But
That's
right
what I tell
now,
'em.
it's father-son.
Absolutely. And that's where I think a lot of parenting goes wrong. They
Mhm.
want to be the friend all the time. And it's like, we got a
Go
child.
find friends your own age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a gym as well. All right. So the next question I want to get into is how do you stay grounded as a parent when you're constantly advocating for so many others? Can it be challenging as a parent at times?
The dividing up of the time, which I mentioned earlier, is always difficult, especially when you're in the co-parenting situation. You want to go on family vacation, but the other household has Easter break. It's a normal tug. And even in the best situations, you want your family prioritized and the other house wants their family prioritized. So it's a constant struggle. It'd be easy to just put your head in the sand and not
Right. Yeah.
communicate because that would make your life easier, but you can't do it. It's not best for the kid. You showing up and the being best version of yourself is the best thing you can do for them.
Of course, we call me cough. He
Mhm.
goes to his mom.
Yep, same.
My wife, of course, it's times where, and I love her because she's so patient. Because, she understands what goes on. And she lets me handle it. And I know sometimes she probably would like to get in the game and be like, well, Adrian, I think, but she says, you know what? I truly feel you could years,
Mm.
many years. And I appreciate her for that because she knows sometimes I struggle. She listens to me vent.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because again, co-parenting could be tough, especially with two different households. And again, I don't knock his mom, that's the mother of my child,
Yep.
but it can be difficult. And sometimes I just vent to her. She's like, hey, baby, it's going to be okay. I'm listening. I hear you. And she gives me advice.
Yeah.
So,
I think
yeah.
I played a very similar role
Okay.
with my husband. Read books before I married him. Oh, man, the single lady marries a man
Correct.
with kids. You got to read all the books. And all the book says that he is the parent, he disciplines the child. And I really bought into that paradigm. It's not my job. She has a mom and she has a dad, and they determine her discipline, not me. So I think that's also been a very good decision looking back, kind of armchair quarterbacking, because that part is up to them. I can be a supportive role for my husband. I can listen. I can, change airline tickets. I can do all the supportive things on the sideline. But the fundamental things, they're up to him.
And as a husband, we appreciate that. I'm
Yeah.
glad you for my guy. Telling you all. But no, we so appreciate that. And again, that's my wife on there. She's very supportive. Same thing. She'll get on, change my flights. And again, she's been very supportive, and I appreciate that. Because, I've had other female friends in the past and almost came to the close where, we got to that point where it was very serious
Mhm.
and it wasn't the same
Oh,
attitude.
it was,
Got lucky.
yeah.
And your husband's lucky.
Hey, or you guys got the pickers.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. So I'm going to segue to mentorship and community leadership. Who were your mentors early on in business and in politics or even in life? Are there specific lessons or advice from them you still carry on to this day?
I would have to say my parents, particularly in the business sector, my folks were small business people. And actually, our story, how we ended up in Nevada, my mother, I mentioned, Korean American immigrant here, early 70s. And my father was from the state of Louisiana. So they moved to the state of Louisiana from South Korea. And she was a registered and licensed pharmacist in Korea. But in the state of Louisiana, they had very protectionist laws where she was prohibited from being a pharmacist. So she pivoted and said, "Okay, I'm gonna open a donut shop." And I grew up in the back of a donut shop. Literally 3 in the morning, they would take us and put us in the inventory room on 50 pounds of flour, and we would sleep until it was time to wake up. And they would get the donuts ready. And 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning, there's a line of people outside waiting to buy the donuts. They owned a liquor store. They had rental homes. And the economy in Southern Louisiana kind of went downhill in the very early 80s. And Nevada had changed their law and allowed for licensed pharmacists from outside the United States. So that's how
Okay.
we ended up in Nevada
Yeah.
because she was able to practice pharmacy. So up until then, always small business owner. When I think back and close my eyes at night and think about my parents, it's them doing inventory and dealing with the franchisor and all the things. So they were definitely my biggest model in business. And I'm sad to report I lost them both prior to having kids myself. So I couldn't even ask them, how do I yeah, advice. So those of you out there that have parents and you can go to them and say, how do I deal with this parenting situation? You're blessed. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
But, God takes and God gives. So it is what it is. But I wish I had my parents.
And it just shows though domino. And it's funny because that translates even to our kids. We
Mm.
talked about it earlier, our kids doing chores, our kids,
You
being
have to
responsible.
engage them.
You have to. Kids, I know parents and kids, they don't do anything. They come
Oh.
home, they play video games, and that's it.
And the trash is
And
overfilled.
it's
You
going-
take the trash out.
if my dad had to tell us we had to take out the trash, it was a problem.
Yeah.
It was a problem. Big problem.
Not that I suggest beatings, but I endured a few.
Oh,
And I
yes.
don't do that with my own
Yeah,
kids.
we all have them. It was just different how we were raised.
A different
Back
time.
in the day, but different times. Yeah, it was a problem. Certain things that if he had to ask you to do,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember coming up sleeping on the couch. You couldn't sleep on the couch. If you get caught sleeping on the couch, that would be a problem. You know what I mean?
That's what your room is for.
That's what your room is for. So
Yeah, please.
So yeah, okay. But you work also closely with community. What do you think young people today need most from mentors?
I think mentors come in all shapes and sizes. I think you have coaches in sports, and they play such a significant role, maybe more so for boys than girls, but there are plenty of girls in sports these days. And that playground gives an opportunity for self confidence to build, for good decision making skills. And at least, my son does baseball and navigating mistakes and learning from your mistakes and overcoming anxiety at the plate and managing your fear. All these things are learned in sports. If there's one thing that I can impart on parents, don't skimp on that. Give them those opportunities. They're really growth opportunities. And you learn from your mistakes. And if you do those mistakes on the field, you're not doing it in life. So those coaches out there, mentors, teachers, all of them create the ecosystem that produces good kids. And you have one of those that aren't there, it really causes difficulties.
Absolutely. And again, I've been mentoring since 1999, and I truly believe that if you're an adult, and this is my personal opinion,
Mhm.
and if you're not mentoring someone or some kind of youth, you're doing this world a disservice because we all should reach back. We should lift.
Set on.
We should lift, and pull up at the same time, pull and lift and bring somebody up and pay it forward. I'm beginning to engineer, as we know. I mentored him, engineer for Marcus, phenomenal young man, and he has kids now. So that's what I love to see as well. You see the fruits of your labor, and it's just amazing, man. I've been knowing him almost my whole life, and he has a family now, and just to see how we can sit and talk about our family and our kids now, and how we've grown, and how we want them to grow. It's just been amazing. So
And
again,
no matter what you do, no you could get awarded the best cop in America, and that is not more important than the legacy you are leaving in this way.
that is a fact. Yep. You are spot on with that. What's one piece of advice about parenting or mentorship you wish someone had told you earlier in life? And I know you said you had a few bucks when you were, approached with this task of parenting.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Maybe don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you start later, maybe that's a little
That's
bit
good.
easier. I wasn't in my 20s, I wasn't a parent,
Yes.
and I didn't have to worry when I gave birth at 37, 38. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to live.
A
I
bit more
owned a
established.
house.
A bit more established.
Yeah,
Okay.
more established. So really when you decide to have kids is important, and it really probably changes your focus and dynamic, because when you had the first kid early on, you were probably more struggling. And the second one later on,
It was in my early 20s. Yeah.
you really enjoy them. You have the time to
Yeah.
engage with them. You have the time to be less distracted.
And I remember, it's funny. I remember when my eldest was born. That year he was born. Of course, two different households. Even back then,
Mhm.
I had him for the first time, and I had my townhome. I stayed all the way in Henderson off of Wagon Wheel,
Oh boy.
and I just had him on the couch, and I was like, I have a little human being, and that's when it clicked. Like it got serious, and I'm like, geez, this is real.
For real fast.
And but I had a lot of support. And again, that's why we have this platform right here. So again, we can give tips, we can give advice, and maybe can help some parents. And that's why I appreciate you being here because, like we said earlier, there's no manual to this. And everybody's still trying to figure it out. And if someone tells you, oh, I'm the perfect person, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We all have our pitfalls in this thing we call parenting. So and we just all trying to figure it out.
Oh, and moms have a lot of pressure. I'm dads do too, but you turn on your iPad
Yeah.
and they're going to show you need to pack the perfect lunch for your kid in a bento box, and it's got to have little veggies, and you got to make them into stars and all these things.
Uh-huh.
You don't need that. Make sure you got 500 or 600 calories in the thing.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't even need to be cold or hot. It doesn't matter. Just send them with some snacks and make sure they're not hungry. That's what so they can focus and all the things. But don't compare yourself to some artificial standard out there. It doesn't exist.
Oh,
It
that's
doesn't
ingenious.
exist.
Oh, yeah.
That's all fake. It's done on a soundstage.
Absolutely. You absolutely. That's some great advice. Because a lot of people, that's how they watch social media
Don't sweat that
and
stuff.
watch, what other
Parents do.
parents are doing with their kids. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, segue into reflection and legacy, right? When your kids look back at you, your time in office, what do you hope they say about how you handle parenting and leadership?
You don't pull any punches. Adrian with the questions. First thing that comes to mind is every fall, I have a family recipe for pumpkin bread.
Okay.
And their entire lives, I've always made the pumpkin bread. And right after I got elected, they were real worried that there would be no more pumpkin bread. And
Uh-oh.
I have made pumpkin bread, and it's about to happen the next few weeks because
There
it
you go.
happens
Coming.
every
Tis
October.
the season.
Yes, it's pumpkin season. And I hope that they remember that while I was very busy and I had so much to do, that I still always prioritized them, and I still always made the pumpkin bread.
And I agree with you, so much with that because, and I know my oldest son, I'm sure he understands what mentorship means to me and how if it wasn't for mentors in my life, who knows how any of our lives could have ended up as. But I know he gets it, but I really want him to understand, and hopefully he can take some of my characteristics as well and traits in mentoring because I think that's what it's really about. Of course, I have to make my time for my family, which I do, but I really do think it's very pivotal, important that we mentor as well and we give back to our community. We pour into our community in some way or somehow. And so I agree with you 100%. You say that, like, of course, you have your public servant is basically, and that's what you do. You help so many other people, which they may not see it now. Maybe they'll see it later if they don't see it now, or they may. But you just only wish and pray that they see that you just try to do the best that you can and touch other people's lives and help other people. So I definitely appreciate it, and I see you. So I definitely want to give you your flowers with that. Lastly, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for the next generation of Las Vegas families? Because again, I know you're out there. You do a lot of service for our community. You implement a lot of things that change a lot of lives in Las Vegas with families' lives. So, what's your take on it?
We're always trying to do what's best for Las Vegas
Absolutely.
families. We recently passed an ordinance to, I guess, limit the use of those dang e-scooters. Kids are dying. They aren't paying attention to the road. You're essentially giving them what's tantamount to a motorcycle. It's got a dang throttle on
It's like
it.
giving a kid a car,
Yes.
a baby a car.
And they
Oh, yeah.
go over 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Until recently, there wasn't even a helmet requirement.
Yes.
So we
Just
changed
passed that,
that.
yep.
We just passed that, which is good, and gave some parameters. You can't do the wheelies. You can't drive obnoxiously. Don't let your kids out there on those things without any basic road skills. Kids are dying all over the country with these things. It's not a bike. It's not a scooter. They're motorcycles.
This is a fact, and I'm glad you brought that. This is a fact, and I can hear the passion and concern in your voice because this is an issue nationwide. Nationwide, parents, you can't. It's like again, it's like buying your 8, 9, 10-year-old a car. You
Yes.
say, here you
Who
go.
does that?
Who does that? You have to know that these things are dangerous.
And they go
And
too
they go
fast.
fast. I was where I stay at on the cross streets. This is probably 2 weeks ago, and I promise you, the guy they had the green. He wasn't paying attention. He goes straight through. Everybody slams, and he almost lost his life. I could have been hurt very, very bad. But the e-bikes it is an issue. And again, I think this is nationwide.
It is.
Sure.
It is. Same story in Ward 4, except the child ended up dead. And it was completely the kid's fault, going in the wrong direction. And the driver tried to stop. And by the time it was in the driver's purview, he slams on the brake. There was no preventing the collision, and kid passed. It's a tragedy and not worth it.
So parents, please, make sure you know what's going on and what your kids are into. I mean, it's some kids probably out there, they don't, parents don't know they have bikes. Well, they should, but,
Well, and some don't know about the helmet either.
yeah, that's
the
a
helmet
fact.
can save a child's life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And death. Because once you get, the head traumas is a whole different thing, when the impact, when embraced with impact, that can be very, very bad. I definitely wanted to ask you as well, if you can, Councilwoman, can you share at least 2 resources, a piece of advice that you can give our listeners to become better, well-rounded parents?
Try to stay calm. And I think this comes with age, but no reason to yell at your kids. Your kids are watching you and they reflect you and mirror you. You want a cool, well-rounded, honorable kid that has good behavior. You demonstrate that behavior. And I would probably say, secondly, don't underestimate the power of those sports. I know Bolden Little League, Metro makes sure that no kid pays for Little League.
Absolutely.
If you want to sign up for Little League,
Yeah.
you're worried about the cost. You're completely taken care of at Bolden. My own kid grew up in Lone Mountain Little League,
Okay.
and I sat on the board. We sponsored kids. If there was any problem to pay, people will find a way to make it happen. Just use those resources out there and addition and help, and we carpool and the whole thing. I mean, parents helping parents is a beautiful thing because it's hard to do on your own and nobody expects it. And the more you have that safety net of others and a community around you, the more likely we all are to succeed.
And again, another great gem, and that's something I learned as a young father. Said on one of my other shows, you have to be curious instead of confrontational. And I think a lot of times we get confrontational with our kids. Ask them questions. Why do they do X, Y, and Z? Let them explain. Maybe they have a good reason why they did it.
Yep.
And then you can try to teach them then. Being confrontational all the time and just yelling, like you said, you don't want them to reflect those actions. And I over E, that's my formula of life. Everyone knows when I mentor, I teach the youth, intellect over emotions. Anytime you get those flipped emotions, get the best of your intellect, it's always going to be a bad situation. So I over E, intellect over emotions. Councilwoman Frances Allen Polinsky, thank you so much for sharing your story, your insights, and your passion for the Las Vegas families and youth. To our listeners, if you've been inspired, challenged, or encouraged today, I invite you to reach out, get involved, and carry forward the spirit of mentorship and community in our own lives. You can follow Councilwoman work at Councilwoman Polinsky. That's the IG. And I'll have it on the YouTube page. Allen Polinsky is X, that's her X. And then Frances Allen Dash Polinsky, that's her Facebook. Again, like I said, when we open up, very open and very just a warm person. And I love being around Councilwoman because it's always a good time. And again, her energy is just phenomenal. Always good energy. Councilwoman, again, I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy person and you decided to come here and hang out with me and talk to the people. And we thank you for it. Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun. I wish you the very best on your
Absolutely. Thank you.